Hi guys, so today we're going through the Burp extensions that are most important and specific according to what you are performing application testing on. So we all know there are multiple extensions and it can be confusing at times. So I'm going basically through the most important and the regular ones used. And I will also go through certain API important extensions because in case you're dealing with mobile interjections as well as on-platform web services. So if you go to the tabs that are available on Burp, you definitely go on the Extender tab, and then you will click on the BApp Store. So some extensions, if you see, they definitely need different environments. So Burp currently supports Python, Java, as well as Ruby environments. So the environment for Python and Java would be a combination Dextron called Jython. And so when you're going to, for example, an extension that is required for certain environment to be set up within Burp, you can actually see that in case of ActiveScan++, there is a download Jython instead of a direct install. So in that case, you would download the Jython, get that in a particular file. Then you go to the options instead of the VAPT Store, and then in location of Jython standalone jar file mask below, you will give the file path like this, and then you should see instead of download Jython, you will get the install button. So whichever environment, and in case it's not available with you right now, you can definitely just get the file path for that environment chart into the options and then get back to the App Store to install it. So firstly, what we did is ActiveScan++. So in ActiveScan++, it's basically sort of a better scan in cases that it adds a very minimal network overhead. So it identifies application behavior that may be of interest to advanced testers, especially in case when you're handling XML inputs and any sort of suspicious input transformation. Even blind code injection is something that the normal scan will definitely not catch up, but ActiveScan++ definitely highlights and catches that. So host-headed attacks are also, I think, better detected by ActiveScan++. So this is a must and one of the most popular extensions, I'd say. Then obviously we have Retire.js. So any sort of vulnerable JavaScript libraries that are available, it kind of gets integrated with Burp to detect those. It passively looks sort of at the JavaScript files that are loaded and identifies any signatures that were identified during the training of Burp. Then we also have the J2EE Scan, J2EE Scan. The goal of this extension is basically to improve the test coverage during web app pen test. So it adds some new test cases and new strategies to discover different kinds of J2EE vulnerabilities. It can have expression language injection is one of the things that this will definitely take care of. And any other recent findings which were probably not included before. Like I think Apache struts can get detected easily by J2EE scans. So if that is vulnerable, that be one case, and case two will be if vulnerable, is it further exploitable or not? It does really take care of that. Then we have definitely WAFDetect. We passively detect the presence of any WAF from the HTTP responses. So this is a must in case you are doing penetration testing and not just AppSec. Then for SAML Raider and SAML ReQuest is very important in case you're dealing with these. So SAML Raider is basically it contains two core features, that is your editor as well as a 509 certificate manager. So it will sign SAML messages and assertions and remove signatures. So and it kind of previews and executes XSW attacks. So in that case, it's very, very helpful. And the certificate manager chains for whether it's a PM or DR format, everything will get considered by the SAML reader. The SAML ReQuest kind of helps us view, decode, and modify SAML authentication requests and test IDP's response to other manipulations that we are, that could be happening in a particular request. So then, where is that? That was request. Then the other thing that would include is Brida. That is the Burp to Frida bridge. Okay, it basically works as a bridge, like as the name suggests, between Burp and Frida. So it will actually, use and manipulate application's own methods while tampering the traffic exchange between the applications and the backend services and servers. So any case of whitelisted IPs, anything like that would definitely get caught up. Some mobile applications that use strong symmetric cryptography using random keys and everything can actually get easily caught up by this extension. So in case of mobile application, web services, and analysis, this is definitely good because these hooks would be printed and integrated with the JavaScript editor, and the syntax highlighting and will work out in this case. So this is definitely a must. Then we have the WSDLer. I don't know how to pronounce this, but I just call it the WSDL handler sort of. So it'll take so in case when you're using WSDL files for SOAP APIs, it parses it takes a request and passes out the operations that are associated with the targeted web service. So it will generate the SOAP request that can then be sent into the SOAP endpoint. So we know that there are, like as a tester, you would know that there are other things available, but if Burp is giving you an extension, why not use it? I mean, I think similarly goes for a lot of tools that we use outside that were not available before, but now extensions are like amazing. So also one of the most important ones is Logger Plus. My God, what does it not do? So it has a multi-threaded logging extension for workflow. So in addition to obviously logging the requests and responses that obviously happens anyway, the extension allows advanced filters to be defined to highlight interesting entries or filter logs to only those which match the filter. So it's sort of like a built-in grep tool, if you can consider it. Like, it will just catch up whatever filter that you are requiring at the moment, rather than, it will log everything, but it will grep for you what is actually required and what you're searching for in case there's a particular type of attack that you're looking for. And obviously considering the similar values. Then you have CO2. I guess CO2 is very important. It has like a lot of things associated with it. If you see, these are the ones that is actually showing Burp what all it has. It has the SQL mapper, a user generator, name anglers, the basic author. It's all the SQL mapper screen actually appears pre-populated with the URL, post data, and cookies, so you can basically set any options you need and then copy paste the SQL command to SQL map on your command line. So it kind of eases your job out a lot. So then you have the what do you call the the /power scanner. This extension basically it's kind of like uh, it's kind of like a go-to with the active scanner. So usually both of these will go. Any sort of server-side injection vulnerabilities are kind of caught better with this and will detect it very well. It evolved from kind of the manual techniques only that uh, instead of testing the manual VAPT evasions, this is way better. Then obviously bypass VAPT is bypass VAPT. But this is a very basic WAF bypass. Like it's not really. So in case you have any particular environment defined and any sort of architecture that will not allow a proper WAF bypass, then this will not work. But in usual cases when we're testing, obviously the environment is comparatively weaker, so the architecture is not really robust enough for bypass app to, not be able to go through it. But definitely if it's an advanced client, in that cases, this doesn't really work. So have to be careful with that. We can just get whichever is more helpful, or otherwise log in accordingly. Then the content type converter, of course, very important. JSON to XML, body parameters to JSON, XML to JSON. We can use Postman in these cases, but this is like so much easier in case you're, you have a predefined format of these APIs. You don't really need to use Postman and get everything back on Burp, log back. So this kind of eases your job out that way. Then obviously CSRF Scanner is something, we do get CSRF properly attested, but if you do realize in Burp, it just, in the normal scanner, it will just check whether you have the CSRF token or not. It's not really doing the thing, doing the CSRF while performing the scan, right? So it just checks whether it has a refresh, a referrer cookie or a CSRF token attached to it. So what you want is the CSRF scanner will actually perform even when the CSRF token is available. It will perform and check whether the validation is really taking place or not. So this is kind of like God if you don't really want to do it manually all the time. So you load the extension and send items into sort of scanning the normal way. So sort of like passive scanning, but it will not create a record. So don't worry about that. Like how we are testing, actually it will create a record and might create a fuss, but that doesn't really happen here. So great. Then obviously add custom header is kind of headers from your session handling rules. In case you're having APIs where you have JSON web tokens, this is like God, because any sort of hardcoded value can actually be taken care of and reused and multiplied in this case. So custom headers is very good there. Token jars is good in case there are tokens like anti-CSRF and CSRF and session ID tokens. In that case, it kind of extracts these tokens from the responses using your regex, and then it will insert them in the responses after manipulating the values with the JavaScript. So it kind of does most of the things for you. So in that case, token jar is important, but make sure that in most projects, don't load up all these together. Just identify which is required, because according to the use and the type of environment that you're testing. Then comes SSL Scanner, which obviously most of us will go to Qualys and check it, or have some other tools from normal SSL Scan on the command prompt. But this is like inbuilt in Burp, so why not? Why will I just open something else for one thing? No, let's just do it on Burp. SSL Scanner is good. This does check for most of your Heartblade, Poodle, and everything. It also does have checks for Beast, Lucky 13, Breach, and anything gets updated is obviously updated simultaneously on SSL Scanner. So anything, I think Lucky 13 is comparatively recent, so it still does get that. So everything is updated, which you will not probably get in normal SSL Scanner, which usually would just give you Heartbleed, probably in Poodle, and fallback support. But this will guarantee everything: Lucky 13, Sweep, Crime, Beast, Breach. I think I'm not sure. I think it even also gets drawn on Sweep 32 captured. Does it? Not sure, but I think it does. We can just set the description later. Then we have the HTTP request smuggler. Oh my god, this is great in case when you have web APIs and stuff. Request smuggling is scary in cases of when there is no synchronization in the server requests and responses. So in that case, you would definitely want to check request smuggler back. Then you have detect dynamic.js. Obviously, it'll compare the JavaScript files with each other to detect any dynamically generated content, and that is something that is only accessible when the user is authenticated. So it contains not only the code but also data with user or session information. So in that case, it is user or session information that can actually be checked for the potential leakage. So any sort of exploitable situations are pretty much caught up in dynamic.js detection. Then you have NGINX Alias Traversal. This extension detects NGINX Alias due to misconfiguration. So you might want to check if this is applicable. Do not just install it because I'm telling, because this is something you would want to check with the environment whether it actually is required or not. Otherwise, it's just a waste of time. But it is pretty popular in most cases when you have this sort of a server. It'll kind of work that way. Then, oh my god, Turbo Intruder is god level thing, I'll say. So it's basically our intruder, but turbo in many ways, because it is sending large number of HTTP requests and analyzing the results simultaneously. So it's kind of intended to complement our Burp intruder exactly, but by handling attacks that require extreme speed or complexity. This obviously intruder, we all know, doesn't have to be played before the end of the assessment, because you do not want to lock out accounts in case this actually does create simultaneous records for logins and lockouts. So it is fast, flexible, scalable, and convenient, and my god, does it do a great better job than just the intruder. So Turbo Intruder will definitely log in with our normal intruder and work. So I don't think this will create a separate tab, but yeah. Okay, so then we have one thing that I use. This is not that important, but have you seen sometimes how the .NET view state generators and everything kind of you will not understand because of obviously the extreme level of encoding and extension wrapping that's going on. So what .NET Beautifier does is it just converts it to a more human readable format. This is something I use only in case there's, if you've seen responses that go way beyond a Burp page and you're actually having to drag down Burp response, my god, will I need this to avoid getting insane. So yeah, that's about it. But this is basically for web APIs, even mobile and short-bit APIs and stuff. But in case you're doing cloud assessments, there are other things that you would want to put. If you need that, I can get that too. So I just thought I'll just put this out because this is very basic and confusing if you are not really aware with this extension. Do you need it or do you not? So these are the God level ones which I definitely need all the time, and I keep using it. So that's it. So most of it comes up like that. So I usually do it to a particular project. If I know if I'm doing a web application, then I have put up a separate project with particular extensions, then APIs with particular extensions, mobile with particular extensions, rather than dumping all in one, because otherwise Burp is gonna go crazy. So yeah, that's about it. If we might do another video for other extensions that are specific to other platforms, but till then, thanks guys.